Good evening, guys. I trust we all are doing firm. We are doing well. So please, can you confirm if you can hear me, guys? Please let me know in the comment section if you can hear me. Thank you very much. Also, while waiting for others to come and join in, as usual, let's give them the grace of a few minutes. So we'll start 5 minutes past 7, my local time. Also in the comment section, let me know how was your day. How has been the journey so far? This week 8, and we're rounding up week 8 already. All right, so let me know your thoughts. All right, thank you very much, Okoli Grace. Good evening. Good evening, Okoli Grace. Jane, yes, I think I'm spotting like I'm getting more familiar with some name. I know Obinwe name, I always struggle to pronounce that name. Gift, good evening. Onyekwere, Miracle, good evening. Thank you very much. All right. Oluwa Damilare, good evening. Thank you for letting me know. Ebunoluwa Daniel, good evening. Hot topic, yeah, I can remember this account. Hot topic, I hope you are doing very well. Good evening. Aderonke, good evening. All right, I'm glad your day went very well, Jane. That's great. My day was fine. Thank you, Aderonke. It was fine. Thank you very much. Yes, Titilayo. Yeah, I also noticed this name is always contributing. Titilayo Kwevi, right? Good evening. Omola Bake, good evening. How you doing? Okay. Nexus Play Corner. Yeah, I've also spotted this account. Florence, good evening. Um, all right. Thank you very much, Obinwe name. Interesting journey indeed. Learned a lot as a newbie and still learning. Thank you very much, Obinwe name, for the beautiful compliments. Thank you. I'm glad you are learning something. Yes. So this session is heavily focused. All right. Yeah. Good evening, Adefioye. Yes, Adefioye. I've also noticed you are very active in our sessions. Thank you very much. Good evening, Okoli Grace. Okay, I'm glad you are good. Omolabake, thank you. Glad to hear that. Juliet Ode, yes. Good evening, Juliet. How you doing? Um, all right, thank you, Adenike. Mine was fine. Boluwatife Joy also noticed his account. Grace Ademu, good evening. Obi Chiamaka, good evening. All right. Priscilla, yeah, I think I've noticed Priscilla's account also. Yeah, all right, guys. I'm glad we all are learning. Yeah, so this is heavily focused on trying to bring beginners up to speed. So as we proceed, trust me, the journey gets more interesting. Yeah, and also we have a side project coming up soon. So, and for that one, trust me, it's going to be a very fun project. We are going to be doing that come next week by the grace of God. Yeah, so prepare well, prepare well. We will be having our first capstone project soon, and yes, you'll see more of me on the Telegram channel very soon. You will see more of me on the Telegram channel very soon, pertaining that side project. Okay. Oh, yes, hot topic. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I was I was actually very surprised to see myself as the facilitator of the week. All right. So thank you guys. I mean, I couldn't have made it without you guys. Yes, we started on a rough part, but I think we are getting along, right? We are getting along. We are getting to understand each other better. Yeah, so thank you very much. Thank you, Boluwatife Joy. Thank you very much. Thank you, guys. So, I think we are set for today. I think we are good to go. This is 7 minutes past time, so we should have everybody on board already. Thank you, everybody, for the congratulatory message. Okay, so we will be moving. I mean, just like the last time, last Tuesday, which were we had a lot of reading explanation. We are still going to be having that today because, like I said, right, we all know this is beginner focus, right? So we'll be doing a lot of theory for a start, right? All right, so let's move. So anybody wants to give us let's do a little recap, your understanding of cloud computing. So I believe by now we should most of us can now know that, oh, cloud computing is not just limited to storage, right? It is possible for me to have a Windows system online. It is possible for me to have a network virtualized on the cloud. It is possible for me to have software, right? Software as a service. We shared infrastructure as a service, right? We treated platform as a service, right? Then we looked at private cloud, we looked at public cloud, we looked at hybrid cloud. So we'll be looking at community. We'll be starting with community class today as we proceed in introducing us to cloud. Then as we move on, we are going to look at a few knowledge we need, right, so that we can understand how security works in the cloud. Then we'll be talking about some best practices, and then hopefully we get to complete our slide day before we run out of time. Okay. All right. So, okay. Let's go. So, anybody wants to give us, maybe you have any contribution from the last class, maybe you have something you want to share with us even before we jump to our activity for today. I would like to hear some of your thoughts even before we before we start dig into our slide, before we dig into our slide. Okay, so I'm not getting any message. So I take that to mean that we can proceed, right? So let's keep introduction today. So let's just do a little recap. Characteristics we spoke about, right? We tried to make like did a little bit of history. We spoke about on-prem servers, how on-prem servers worked, the limitations of on-prem servers, right? Characteristics. Then we evolution of virtualization, how virtualization came, helped us to have better hardware management. We could put our resources to better use, and then thanks to the internet, we have what we have today, which is the cloud, right? The birth of cloud computing. Then we spoke about characteristics of the cloud, on demand service, self service, broad network access, resource pooling, rapid elasticity, measured services, and we spoke about cloud service models, right? Explain what cloud service model means. Then we said there are three primary service models, right, for cloud, which is infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, software as a service, right? And then we went on to explain what infrastructure as a service means, the key features of infrastructure as a service, the benefits. Then we looked at examples across different cloud service providers, or we can say different cloud service vendors, right? Then we went on to explain what platform as a service is, explain that, oh, for this is majorly used, heavily used by developers. We spoke about some key features, the benefit of platform as a service, examples across different cloud service providers, right? Then we went forward to SaaS, software as a service, and this a lot of us were able to. I remember a lot of us could relate with this. We spoke about Office 365, spoke about some other softwares like somebody was asking about Canva and some other softwares that we are familiar with. Them key features of software as a service. We said, okay, I remember somebody was asking the software as a service talking about browser. No, then we went to explain that, oh, it is just that the software is not accessible through your browser, right? We demystified that, spoke about some features that, okay, there's automatic updates, you don't have to manually update things, and that software as a service is usually subscription, the pricing is usually subscription based. The benefit of software as a service, ease of use, cost efficiency, scalability, accessibility. You can access it from anywhere, from any device, right? And then we spoke about some examples of software as a service, right, from different vendors. Then we went for further to compare these models, right? We compared IAS, PAS, and SAS in aspect of control, in regard of customization, management, scalability, setup time, cost structure as well, right? Then we spoke of deployment model, which was where we stopped, right? So we spoke of public cloud, key features of public cloud, benefit of public cloud, right? Then we said, okay, some limitations of public cloud, also challenges, right? Compliance and security, limited customization. Then we gave some examples of public cloud, right? Then we spoke private cloud, defined what private cloud means, key features of private cloud, right? Benefit of private cloud and some challenges, right? We said, oh, it can be a bit expensive to set up, it can be a bit expensive at startup time, right? And even as you move on, scalability is also an issue. Then we gave some example of some softwares used for private cloud, such as VMware, vSphere, OpenStack, Microsoft Azure Stack. Also, then hybrid cloud, right? Okay, combination of public and private. Okay, this is majorly, we explained that, oh, this is majorly used by those who have on-prem servers, but then they want to scale, but they don't necessarily want to get more servers, right? They don't necessarily want to get more servers. They just want to put some information that might not be super sensitive to the cloud. Then the cloud and the on-prem servers can then interact. Spoke of some key features of this model, right? The benefit, we have flexibility. It also helps for disaster recovery. So if there's a downtime with the servers in the office, if there's a natural disaster, right, if there's a problem with the on-prem servers, then it is easy for the organization to port to what is available on the cloud, right? Yes. Or if there's a problem with the private cloud, then they could easily just grab the information they need if it's available on from the public cloud, right? Then some challenges, we said, okay, flexibility can be a huge challenge, right? Because it is hard to integrate multiple cloud environments, right? Then we also spoke about security, right? So there are ensuring consistent security policies and compliance across different environments can be challenging, right? So examples of hybrid cloud software, we have Google Anthos, we have AWS Output, we have Microsoft Azure Arc. Now, for today, okay, before I proceed, let me check the comment section to be sure. Let me check the comments to take section to take a few comments and to be sure everybody is on the same page with me before we continue with community cloud today. All right. Yes. Thank you very much, Obinwe name. Cloud computing is cool. Instead of spending huge to get some infrastructure, why not rent, use and enjoy anywhere, anytime? Yes, very well said, Obinwe name. Hot topic. Yes, we didn't touch community cloud, so that's where we are picking up for today. All right, thank you. Doing hot topics. Okoli Grace. Um, yes, very valid point. So Okoli Grace, right? So there's also a limitation to this, right? Which you've pointed out. Okay. Okay, we gave example of softwares used for hybrid cloud happiness. Good evening, happiness. Yeah. Okay, so let's jump to what we have for today. So, a community cloud is a collaborative cloud infrastructure shared by several organizations with common concerns such as security compliance or industry specific requirements. It can be managed internally or by third party provider. Yeah. So remember the concept of private cloud. Okay, an organization come, they set up their servers, they set up their on-prem servers, they expose it to the internet so that their employees can use that infrastructure from anywhere in the world. Right now, in the case of a community cloud, that means more than one organization is coming together to set up one cloud facility. That means they are going to definitely have a way that they are going to have a way that they are going to handle who owns who handles what, and how does the billing, how does cost work, what resources going to be allocated to organization A, what resource is going to be allocated to organization B, like that. But then it is more than one organization that is coming, more than one entity. Let's use the word entity, because I mean, just like some people were asking in the last class, they said, oh, can individual own a cloud? Can individual set up cloud? Yes. So more than one entity is coming together to set up a cloud infrastructure. Now, they will have what some common concern, right? Such as security, such as compliance, such as industry specific requirements, right? So it can be managed internally or by a third party provider. So what this means is that now, one this cloud infrastructure can be managed internally. That means let's think of it from the aspect of, oh, these three people can come and then they'll choose one office location and say, okay, we are going to put these servers in your office organization A. Okay, it is also possible that a third party can own this infrastructure, and then okay, instead of making it available to the public, it could just be available to a set community, you get. So it could also be made available by a third party provider. Okay. Now, some key features of community cloud include shared resources, shared infrastructure, right? So resources are shared among a community of organizations with similar need. So unlike private cloud that all the resources is owned by just one entity, right? For public cloud, it is shared, it is co-owned by by a community of organization, by community of entities. Now, next we have compliance. Now, usually community cloud is tailored to meet specific regulatory or compliance requirements of the community. So think of it, I mean, the last time I gave an example of two nations that are currently having disputes, right? That or maybe there's war between two nations, right? Right. And then I said, oh, it is possible that because maybe there is a cloud infrastructure in an enemy nation, right? Maybe the nation might not permit you as a organization that is working in their country to host their citizen data in the cloud infrastructure in an enemy nation, right? Now, we also spoke that one of the benefit of cloud is that it helps to reduce cost, right? Because it's expensive to get most of this hardware. It is expensive to set up the cloud environment. It is expensive to set up the cloud infrastructure. So now think of it that, oh, maybe since I can't afford to set up a cloud, but I have some money, Okay, so I could call maybe 5 or 6 persons also, maybe that probably do not have all the money required. Now, okay, let's form a community. Let's bring our money together. Let's bring our resources together. Let's bring our employees together and set up this cloud infrastructure locally so that we will make sure that we are not exporting the data of the citizen of this nation to an enemy nation. You get, okay, I can't afford this, but I know by the time I bring my money, you bring your money, I bring my staff, you bring your staff, then we can achieve the same purpose, and thereby we can meet the compliance requirements. Maybe there's a compliance requirement that citizen data is not supposed to be hosted not just in an enemy nation but offshore entirely. So no citizen data should be hosted offshore. Things like that happen. So by the time we set up community cloud, then we know that we are meeting with these requirements. Now, also another key feature is collaboration. So community cloud facilitates collaboration and data sharing among community member. Okay, so since we have our data together, we could now decide that, oh, maybe we should start sharing information amongst ourselves so that we can all help each other attain a specific purpose. We can all help each other attain a specific goal. Okay. All right. So next is cost sharing. So like I said, I do not have all the money. Obinwenem doesn't have all the money. Gift doesn't have all the money. Queen Beja doesn't have the money. Happiness doesn't have all the money. So by the time we bring the money to get our money together, we can actually get what we want. So cost sharing, so we all bear the burden, we all bear the financial burden. So costs are distributed among the participating organization, making it more cost effective. Then there's also customization, right? So customization to meet the specific need and policies of the community. All right, Sandra, you said you have all the money. Okay, so you just sponsor us, right? You just pay for all of us, Sandra, right? Thank you very much for that beautiful comment, Sandra. So then there's also security. So there's enhanced security measure. There are enhanced security measure tailored to the community requirements. So since we are all coming together to bring our resource together, to brainstorm together, to bring not just financial resource but also human resource together, we can make sure that the security is tailored to our requirements. Okay. Yeah. Now, some challenges with associated with community cloud. One, we have governance, right? So managing and governing a shared infrastructure can be challenging, right? At the end of the day, we are all different entity. At the end of the day, we are all different people. We are all different people, right? So maybe it's not all the time, definitely it's not all the time that we will be on the same page. So managing this and governing, maybe somebody might feel, oh, I'm paying all this money and then you're not giving me what I need, stuffs like that, right? So governance can be an issue. Then we have resource allocation. So ensuring fair resource allocation among community members can be difficult, right? Whenever, as long as you are going to be managing people, trust me, it's not going to be easy. So somebody can feel cheated. It is easy for somebody, it is very possible for somebody to feel cheated. Oh, I'm paying you all this money and yet I'm not getting as much as I am supposed to get. So this is very possible. All right, so we'll take a quick break here so I can attend to some questions regarding community cloud. If you have anything that is not so clear here, please feel free to answer. Thank you very much, hot topic. Yes, I love that. Conflict of interest. Conflict of interest. That is well said. Beautifully. Beautiful. Yes, yes. All right. What question? Okay. Ivy, good evening, Ivy. Ivy said we should explain customization again. Yeah. So customization, right? Since we are all coming together to set up the cloud, it is easy for me to express that, okay, this is what I want. So we have to make sure that this, our infrastructure, is tailored to what I need. So everybody can say, okay, this is what I need. So let's tailor it to what I need. You get? So it is easy to customize, unlike public cloud that somebody or an entity has already set up and then they are just giving it to us. And we have no other choice than to accept it as is, right? When it comes to the community cloud, we are the one that is going to dictate. The community is going to dictate what we want the cloud to look like. Okay. All right. So I believe that answers your question, Ivy. All right. Thank you, Ivy. Claire? Yes, well said, Jane. Yes, joint cloud setup. So a group of entity, a group of organization, a group of entity come together, put resource together to set up a cloud infrastructure. Okay. Um, gifts. Gifts. What are the security measures in community cloud? Right, same security measure. I mean, at the end of the day, the security measures are going to be tailored to the organization needs. So let's say, for example, I mean, maybe for example, we can say, oh, okay, we must make sure that in this our cloud infrastructure, 2FA is enforced across all tenants, across all members of the community. You get just the same security measures we've been talking. Everything still applies to the cloud. You get. All right, happiness. I will do that just now. So, community cloud is a collaborative cloud infrastructure shared by several organizations with common concern, right? So, it's not going to be like two very different entities coming together. There must be a common ground, there must be common concern, such as security, such as compliance. When in the compliance, I explained the aspect of some data not leaving the country, right? Or industry specific requirement you get. So in some situation also, it is possible that because of the sector an organization is working in, there is need for the organization to share data with other entities in that sector. So okay, instead of giving you access to my environment, why do we not just set up an environment where we can all be putting this data, so that whenever we need it, we can just come there and pick it. So instead of giving you access to my private house, let's put something outside, and then we know that we can all meet in this common ground. You get? Now, then I went for that. We decide we have here that it can be managed by managed internally or by a third party provider, right? So it is possible for these organizations to come together and set it up themselves. It is also possible, right? That's for internal, right? It's also possible for a different person to come up and say, okay, I have this environment, I have the capacity to set up this cloud environment. Okay, so since A, B, C, D, right, you guys need cloud. You don't want to go through the stress of looking for the human capacity. You don't want to go through the stress of doing all the technical work. I can set it up for you guys and tailor it for your needs. So that would be a third party provider providing community cloud. It's also possible for somebody to set up cloud, right, and then rent it to several community. You understand? Okay. All right. So I believe that should be all. So let's proceed, right? We have a lot to cover for today. So let's look at comparison of this of the various deployment models. So we have public cloud, we have private cloud, hybrid cloud, and community cloud. So for ownership, right? Public cloud is entirely owned by a third party provider, right? For um For private cloud, it is owned by just a single organization. It is owned by just the single entity. Now, for hybrid, it is a combination of public and private, right? So that means some part of it is owned by a third party provider and another part is owned by the organization itself. Now, for community cloud, it is shared by multiple organizations. So the ownership is spread, right? Remember myself, Obinwe name, Jane, hot topic, we are all coming together to put resources together. So Emmanuel might own 20%, Obinwe name can own 30%, Jane can own another 30%, and hot topic might own the remaining 20%. So it is shared, it is co-owned. Now, when it comes to control, there is limited control when in what? In public cloud. For private cloud, it is very, very high control, right? It is your cloud, right? You have the ability to tweak it as much as you want. Now, for hybrid, it is medium because you only have complete control over what? Over the private aspect of the hybrid cloud. For the public one, your control is still limited. So by the time you bring this together, it ends up being medium level. Now, for community cloud, right, it is medium to high. Remember that more than one entity is coming together, right? So it is medium to high. Now, when it comes to cost, right, for public cloud, for cost, right, it is pay as you go. Now, for private cloud, right, it is high initially, right? High when you are just setting it up, it is going to be a bit high, and even as you go on, you need to maintain it, right? You get so high initial and ongoing cost, right? You need to pay money for maintenance, electricity bill, internet access, staff, all those kind of things. You get. Then for hybrid now, it varies depending on the usage. So for hybrid, it varies now, but for community, the cost is usually still shared among the participants. Yes. Now, scalability for public cloud, it is very high. Scalability is high. Okay. Then for private cloud, it is limited, right? Depends on hardware. Remember we said, oh, for private cloud, whenever you need to scale, then definitely you need to get more hardware, right? Then for hybrid cloud, scalability is high, right? So when I need to scale, I just get another public resource and then I easily scale, right? I pay sharp sharp, I move. Then community, it is medium to high. Security now, right? Security for public cloud, it varies depending on the provider you get. So there are different providers, so we can't just say, oh, cloud is secure, right? It depends on who is providing you the service. Now, for private cloud, it is usually high, right? So there are dedicated resources for private cloud, for the security of private cloud. For hybrid, medium to high most time. For community, it is high, right? Because a group of persons are coming together. But do not forget that this group of persons might come together and choose not to put any security in place. So that's also possible, right? That's why they need people like you and me, right? Now, for customization, right, when it comes to public cloud, it is very, very limited. For private cloud, it is high. For hybrid, medium, right? Then for community cloud, it is high based on what the community needs. Based on what the community needs. Now, for use case, right? Most time, public cloud is used for general purpose, scalable workload, right? For private cloud, sensitive data and regulatory need. Most time we use private cloud for sensitive data, okay, right? For hybrid, dynamic workload, right, and disaster recovery. So we want to make sure that we have backup somewhere that, oh, even if our office burns, maybe there's a fire hazard, maybe there's a flood that affects our office, we know that we still have our data in the cloud, so we are disaster ready, right? Then community cloud is industry specific and also for what? Collaborative need, right? Okay. So let's Okay, so I believe this comparison is very, very straightforward and everybody understand. So we'll go to the next agenda for today. So benefit of cloud computing. So cloud computing have revolutionized the way organizations approach IT infrastructure, right? It has revolutionized the way organizations approach IT infrastructures, applications, and services. The shift from traditional on-prem environments to cloud-based solutions offer numerous benefits, right? That drives efficiency, drives innovation, and competitive advantage. So we are going to be discussing a few benefits of cloud computing. So this is by no means exhaustive. So one, as I've always been hammering, cost saving, right? Even just as I think was it Obiwe name that said it, right? Help save money, right? Cost saving, so reduce capital expenditure. So cloud computing eliminates the need for significant upfront investments in physical hardware and infrastructure. Organizations can leverage cloud resources on the pay-as-you-go basis, reducing capital expenditure. Now, we also have what? Operational efficiency. So cloud services often include maintenance, update, and support, right? Reducing the need for in-house IT staff and associated operational costs. Then we have economy of scale. So cloud providers benefit from economies of scale, allowing them to offer computing resources at lower cost compared to traditional on-prem solutions. So, okay, since I have a lot of persons using my service, right, it is possible to make it affordable. It is possible for me to bring the price low, right? Okay. Next, we have scalability and flexibility. So, on-demand resources, right? So, cloud computing enables organizations to scale resources up or down based on demand. So, okay, maybe at this point I need 1 terabyte of storage. So I pay for 1 terabyte of storage. By next month, I do not need as much as 1 terabyte of storage. I can easily move down. If after that I need 2 terabytes worth of storage, I can also easily move up. So scalability is very possible. Flexibility is readily available. So this flexibility allows businesses to handle peak workload without over provisioning resources. So we can easily adjust based on our current need. Then there's also global reach. So cloud services can be accessed from anywhere with an internet connection. So enabling business to expand their reach and serve customers worldwide. So I'm not just serving customers in Nigeria. As long as it's on the cloud, it's accessible to anybody in the world as long as they have internet connection. Then we have elasticity, right? Cloud platforms automatically adjust resources to meet changing workloads, ensuring optimal performance and cost efficiency, just like I've explained with moving down or moving up with your resource consumption. Next, we have improved performance and reliability, right? Cloud providers offer redundant and geographical distributed data centers, ensuring high availability and minimizing downtime, right? So let me go over this again, then I explain. Cloud providers offer redundant and geographical distribution. So now, if I am setting up my my infrastructure on the cloud, right, then definitely on their own end, they are still going to what? They are still going to replicate that same data in another place. So should in case there is a problem in that location where my data is, I can just easily get access to the copy of that same data. You get, right? Then there's also geographical distribution. Right now, there's what we call latency. There's something called speed. So if I am hosting my data in somewhere, maybe I'm hosting my data in South Africa, right? And so somebody, another person in the same country is hosting their own data in let's say okay, my geography skills, geography skills are quite poor, but let me just try. Let's say in the United States of America, right? The United States of America is farther from Nigeria, right? So my data, the organization that has their cloud infrastructure in South Africa will get better speed, right? Their data, they can since South Africa is closer to Nigeria, right? You get now, if I'm serving various if I have a business that is worldwide, so I can now put my various customer data in geographical locations that are closer to them, instead of just putting everything in Nigeria, and maybe people from farther nations might be slower for people in farther nation. I can just try as much as possible to check if my cloud service provider have a data, check for the closest data center from my cloud service provider to those my customer, and then I put their data there. You get, right? Okay, so highly available, right? And since this is handled by an entity that they replicate this data in different locations. So if there's a downtime in one location, I know that my data will still be available because they are quickly going to switch to the backup. You get, then there's disaster recovery. So cloud computing provides robust disaster recovery solutions with automated backup, failover mechanisms, and data replication across multiple locations. So I believe I've explained this while explaining high availability. Then we have performance optimization. So cloud services often include performance monitoring and optimization to ensure applications run efficiently, runs efficiently. Okay. Next is enhanced security. So advanced security features. Cloud providers invest heavily in security measures, including encryption, identity and access management. Trust me, you will hear a lot of IAM when it comes to cloud. Identity and access management, threat detection and compliance certification. Now, compliance and regulatory supply. Many cloud providers offer services that comply with industry standards and regulations such as GDPR, HIPAA, PCI DSS, helping organizations meet their compliance requirements. Now, I'm beginning to see, there's actually, if you are going to do this on-prem, if you are doing this, let's say in a private environment, you have to be the one dealing with GDPR, HIPAA, and PCI DSS. But some of these are made available as part of the service package from the cloud service provider. Then data redundancy. Cloud environments provide data redundancy through automated backup and replication, reducing the risk of data loss. So like I said, there's always a backup, right? The organization have to ensure that they have a backup of the data you are giving to them. So should in case there's any problem, they can easily just plug you to the backup. Okay. Faster time to market. Now, since you are not setting up servers yourself, then definitely you are going to hit the market faster. So cloud platform enable quick deployment of applications and services, reducing the time required to launch new products or features. Development and testing. Cloud environment provide on-demand resources for development and testing, allowing teams to experiment, iterate, and bring innovations to market faster. Then agility. Now, cloud computing supports agile methodologies by providing scalable and flexible infrastructure, facilitating continuous integration and continuous deployment, CI/CD. Okay. Then next we have collaboration and mobility. Now, remote access, right? I believe this is self-explanatory, right? Cloud, since it's available on the cloud, that means 10 of us can connect to the same resource and be working on it at the same time. So cloud services can be accessed from any location, enabling remote work and collaboration among distributed team, right? So real-time collaboration, cloud-based collaboration tools such as Google Workspace and Microsoft Office 365 allows team members to work on documents and projects in real time, improving productivity and efficiency. Okay. Next, we have innovation and competitive advantage. So access to cutting edge technology. So cloud providers regularly update their services with the latest technologies. So technologies that might not be readily available to you, right? If you are going to start things from scratch, you can get them from the cloud, right? Okay. Such as artificial intelligence, machine learning, and big data analytics, giving organizations access to advanced tools without significant investment. Okay, now focus on core businesses. So by outsourcing infrastructure management to cloud provider, organizations can focus more on their core businesses, activities, and strategic initiatives. So okay, I don't have to disturb myself with how to set up servers. I just subscribe, and then I can now focus on what is important to my business, right? I can focus on making money, right? Then experimentation and innovation. The cloud provides a platform for innovation, allowing organizations to quickly test new ideas, scale successful projects, and stay ahead of their competitors. Then, okay, for the environmental folks, right? Environmental sustainability, energy efficiency. So, cloud data centers are often more energy efficient than traditional on-prem data centers due to optimized hardware utilization and advanced cooling technologies, reduce carbon footprint. So, by consolidating computing resources in large, efficient data centers, cloud computing can reduce the overall carbon footprint of IT operations. Yes, so that is it for the benefits of cloud computing. So now we are going to take a look at challenges associated with cloud computing. So while cloud computing offers numerous benefits, it also presents several challenges that organizations must address to fully leverage its potential. So we must understand this, right? Remember, we have to understand how cloud computing works. That's why it's like we are going through a cloud computing cloud. Very soon, we are going to get to the security aspect of cloud computing, but we need a strong fundamental knowledge of how cloud computing works. That's why we are going through this. So understanding these challenges is crucial for implementing effective cloud strategies and ensuring the successful adoption of cloud services, right? So one, we have private security and privacy. So storing data in the cloud introduces risks related to unauthorized access, data data breaches, and cyber attacks. Organizations must ensure robust security measures are in place, such as encryption, multi-factor authentication, and regular security audit, right? So, in as much as we said, okay, the cloud service provider is going to try their very possible best to provide security, we still have to understand that it is still human being that is going to set up the infrastructure, right? So that means there's a tendency for mistakes to be made. Do you understand? So with this, so all contrary to what some people think, they just assume that, oh, as soon as we are using cloud, then nobody can hack us. There's no security risks. We are 100% secure because Microsoft is doing everything, because AWS is doing everything, because GCP is spending billions of dollars in security. No, 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 it's not like that. There is still going to be security challenge because it is a human being that is going to set up the infrastructure. Okay, now also we've also mentioned that, oh, these cloud service providers help with certain compliance, but then different industries have specific regulatory requirements that must be met. So ensuring compliance with these regulations in the cloud environment can be a bit complex, right? Particularly when data is stored across multiple jurisdictions. So like we said, in different nations, right, in different jurisdictions, there are different laws. So you have to be very careful with how and where data is being stored, how and where data is being hosted. Understand? Then there's also privacy concern. So ensuring the privacy of sensitive data is a significant concern. Organization needs to implement strict access control and data anomalization, oh my god, my tongue. Data anom Okay. Okay, you understand me. Sorry, guys. Okay, techniques to protect user privacy. Okay, sorry, my tongue is failing me tonight. Next is what? Cost management. So there are unexpected costs. While cloud computing can reduce capital expenditure, it can also lead to unexpected optimization operational costs if not managed properly. Services like data transfer, storage and computational power can accrue cost quickly if not monitored. Right? If not monitored. So let me give you a funny story. There was a time I had something working on the cloud, right? I had something working on the cloud, and then I turned on the server, and then somehow after working on it, I forgot to turn it off and I went to sleep. Oh my god. I remember waking up in the midnight. I'm like, oh no, oh no. I hope I'm not going to run into loss, right? Because money was burning as the server was being turned on, was as the server was turned on in the cloud. Okay, so sometimes it is there have been multiple cases of people forgetting to turn off a cloud infrastructure, turn off an infrastructure on the cloud, and then they run into loss. You probably have seen memes relating to that online. Then cost optimizations, right? So also before I proceed, initially, right, if you are just starting, right, you are not going to spend as much as you should, but then overall, right, the money keeps growing. The money keeps growing. By the time you are paying for, maybe if you're in Nigeria like me, by the time you are paying 10,000 naira every month, right, in 10 months that becomes 100,000, right? When you multiply that by 10, that becomes a lot of money. So overall, right, the money starts increasing, right? Okay, then cost optimization. Organizations must continuously optimize their cloud usage to avoid over provisioning or underutilization. So as much as you can go up and go down, you have to make sure that you set things up properly. Okay, so this involves regularly reviewing and adjusting resource allocation based on actual usage pattern. Okay, now another challenge is downtime and reliability. So service outages. So cloud providers may experience outages or service disruptions that can impact the availability of application and data. Organization must plan for such contingencies by implementing disaster recovery and business continuity plan. Okay, so contrary to what some people be, oh, as much as you are using the cloud, as soon as you move your infrastructure to the cloud, then it is always available. No, no, no. Even right here, I remember there was a time Microsoft was attacked by a particular Microsoft Azure was attacked by a particular cyber threat gang, right? By a particular cyber criminal gang, right? And then they had a downtime, right? So a lot of organizations that were heavily reliant on Microsoft Azure during a short period of time couldn't access their data, right? Which led to loss of money. So it is also possible for the cloud infrastructure, for the cloud to have downtime. So you must make sure that as an organization, right, as an expert, you help your organization to have a disaster recovery time. So even though as we know that the cloud service provider is going to be trying their very possible best to make sure the service is available to us. But worst case scenario, we must still be able to move on. We must still be able to function as a business. Okay, so dependency on provider. So relying on a single cloud provider can create a single point of failure. So diversifying cloud providers or adopting multiple cloud strategies can mitigate this risk. So just like the example I gave that, oh, there was a time a Microsoft Azure was attacked by a cyber threat group. Or if you had maybe a backup in another cloud service provider, maybe AWS or maybe DigitalOcean, then you probably would have been able to easily port to those other guys and business continues as usual. Okay, but then you know that this is going to cost you more money. Then there's vendor lock-in. Vendor lock-in. So different cloud providers use proprietary technologies and APIs, making it challenging to migrate applications and data between different providers. Right? Vendor lock-in can limit flexibility and increase dependency on a single provider. So this is a thing, right? If you start with one vendor, trust me, most time it is hard for you to move to another vendor. So just like the example I gave, right? That, oh, maybe for you to have been able to prevent the disaster that came from Microsoft Azure being attacked by a cyber gang, if you probably had your service running, maybe a backup running on AWS, then you would have been good to go. Most time it is hard to do things like this because most setting up your environment, setting up your application will require you using maybe some technologies that are only available on Microsoft Azure or whichever vendor you are using. Maybe you're making some API calls that are only available on that particular platform. So at the end of the day, you just find out that you are logged in into one particular environment, right? Moving or communicating, or maybe you are trying to spread your application between different cloud service provider, then that will not be so easy, right? That will not be so easy. It will not be so easy to do this. Then portability. Ensuring that applications and data are portable across different cloud environments require careful planning and the use of standardized technologies and framework. Okay, then performance and latency. Now, applications that require real-time processing may suffer from latency issue due to the physical distance between the cloud data center and the end user. So just like I said, the closer the data center is to you, then the faster you can process data. You get, so if you do not have any data center close to you, then you might suffer from latency if you have very time sensitive data. Maybe your service is a very time sensitive, maybe your service rather involves time sensitive processing of data. You get, so organizations must design the application to minimize the impact of latency. Then we have bandwidth cost. So high bandwidth usage for data intensive application will result in significant cost. So the more bandwidth you want, the more money you have to pay. So organizations need to optimize the application and data transfer process to minimize bandwidth usage. Then complexity of management. This is one thing. Complexity of management. So managing cloud resources, monitoring usage, ensuring security across multiple cloud environments can be complex. So this can be complex. Okay, so organizations need skilled personnel and effective cloud management tools to handle these tasks. Get, then hybrid and multi-cloud environment. Managing hybrid and multi-cloud environment adds an additional layer of complexity. So like I said, it is possible for you to have your data in across different vendors, but then it's going to bring another layer of complexity. You get, so managing this can be very, very complex. So organizations must ensure seamless integration and consistent security policy across different cloud platforms. Okay, then there's skill shortage. Now, this is also a very, very big thing. So now if you are an offensive, if you at the end of this training, if you choose to be an offensive security person, maybe a penetration tester, right, this will be to your advantage because there is what lack of skill, there's shortage of skill, there's lack of expertise, right? So cloud computing require specialized skills in areas such as cloud architecture, security, and DevOps. The shortage of skilled professional can hinder cloud adoption and management costs. So now the point I'm trying to make is, if there's a shortage of skill set, right, then you trust me, there are quite a number of persons who are claiming to be experts that are not necessarily experts. So if they are setting up an environment and they bring in a security expert such as you or me to test the environment, then they are going to make our life very, very easy, right? They will help us maintain our job. Okay, that's on the lighter side. So now organizations need to invest in training and development programs to upskill their existing workforce and attract new talent with the necessary expertise. Okay, also you need to understand as a person, right, starting from now, that you must try as much as possible to get the necessary skill set so that you are going to be an asset to whatever organization you end up working for. Okay, and also at the end of the day, this is also promising. That means, oh, there's a lot of money should in case you choose to be a cloud security personnel. Okay, because there's high demand for somebody with your skill set. Now next is legal and compliance issues. So I believe we've spoken about this multiple times, that oh, maybe the country you are working in, this country you are operating in as a startup might have some requirements on how you host their citizen data, right? So different countries have varying law regarding data sovereignty, which dictates where data can be stored and processed. Ensuring compliance with this law while using cloud service can also be challenging. So understanding and negotiating the terms of service agreement with cloud provider is very, very important to ensure that the organization's rights and obligations are clearly defined. Okay, so thank you very much, guys. I believe we have, I know we are moving a bit fast today, but trust me, we have a lot to cover. That's why we are moving a bit fast today. So let me quickly go through the comment section, then we'll go on our quick 10 minutes break, and then we come back to continue what we have for today. Okay. Okay, Sandra, very, very funny. English is not working again. Yes, at some point, I think English left me. Thank you, Nexi. Thank you, Gifts. Nice, nice, nice. Very funny. Okay. Oh, sorry about that, Kemi. Um, hot topic spreading risks. I'm not sure I get the context of this your question. Ivy, so you are saying it's possible to have more than one? Yes, yes, it is possible to put some of your data on AWS. Some organizations operate like that, but most time it tends to bring a level of complexity, like we've explained. All right. Yes, it is possible. Yes, yes, Obinwene, more work for security, cloud security engineers or specialists. Yes, it is more work because you have to make sure that things are done properly, right? You have to break the myth of, oh, cloud is secure, so we don't need security because Microsoft or AWS has done the job for us. No. All right. Okay. Um, All right. This is 5 minutes past 8. So let's go on a quick 10 minutes break. Trust me, I can see some more questions from Gift up to Jane. So I will take those questions when we come back from break. So let's do that quickly, sign our attendance, and let's come back and get to work. Okay. So thank you guys. Okay. Since company manage their data in private cloud, how does the provider back up their data? Okay, so I mean, if you are using private cloud, right, then you have to replicate your data you get. So for a private cloud, then they might have to replicate that same data in another location you get. So maybe you have a server center in Abuja, then they could have another server center in maybe Lagos you get. So if something is wrong with the server center in Abuja, then they know that, oh, there's a backup sitting in Lagos you get. And then sometimes it's best to have like three you get, and probably not in the same country or region. So if one is in Africa, you could have another one in America you get. Yeah. Both privately managed by you. But you know that with that now, there's going to be a lot more spending. Obi Amaka, yes, Obi Amaka, I've noticed this name. It's been a while I saw your comment. Okay. Okay. All right. All right. Okay, Zainab. Don't worry, I'll check on you. Ah, okay, Joy. Good evening, Joy, too. I'm checking on you. Oh, okay, you have another Joy. Oh, sorry. Okay, we are back. Tony, we are back, Tony. Please, you could take a walk, right? Folorunsha has said. So I think that's all in the comment section, so we can move further. So fundamentals of cloud security. So I'm sure we are pretty much excited about this. So we are getting to the security aspect. You've done introduction to cloud, touch a few things. So we are now familiar with the basics of how cloud works. Okay, so cloud security involves protecting data, application, and services that are hosted in the cloud, right, from threats and vulnerabilities. So as organizations increasingly adopt cloud computing, understanding and implementing robust cloud security practices has become paramount, right? Here are some fundamental aspects of cloud security. So one, there's what we call shared responsibility model. So the shared responsibility model delineates the security obligation of cloud service provider and cloud customer. While cloud service providers secure the infrastructures, customers are responsible for securing their data, their application, and user access. You get? So you must understand that security of the cloud is a shared responsibility. So, like I said, it is not far-fetched, right? It's something that I've seen, right, from time and time over, that, oh, a lot of people assume that, oh, since Google, since AWS, since Microsoft Azure is spending billions of dollars in security, that means, oh, as soon as I'm using cloud, then I don't need any security person, because anything I put there is super secure. No, the cloud service provider has their part to play. They have their role to play. You as the customer, right, also have your role to play. So in as much as they are securing the physical infrastructure, right, you have the responsibility of making sure that the data that you are going to be uploading to their platform is properly secure. Your application is your responsibility. The user access, the kind of access you give to your developers, the kind of access you give to employees within the organization, how you configure the various users, right? How you configure the various users access is also very important. Okay, all right, let me, okay, Jane, I believe I said I do not understand your question. Didn't you hear me? Can you properly can you rephrase the question? Let me see if I understand you better and answer your question. Okay, thank you. Then okay, now there's identity and access management. So identity and access management, short for IAM, involves managing user identity and controlling access to cloud resources to ensure that only authorized individuals can access specific resources. Okay, so you have to make sure that there is proper user um authorization, so you don't go to what overly you don't go allocating overly excessive user access level. You get? So you have to make sure that, oh, a user that is doing something on the cloud have the rights, only the rights that they need, they have the right access level. You get? So maybe your intern should not have the ability to be creating virtual machines from your account, right? Your intern should not have the ability to be setting some network rules. You get? All those kind of stuff. So you must make sure that there's proper identity and access management, right? Because a lot of time when it comes to pen testing the cloud, you get, from an offensive security perspective, what we majorly hunt for is security misconfiguration from the cloud engineer's part, from the angle, from the table of the cloud engineer. Because a lot of time there are a lot of misconfiguration, maybe accessing giving too much right to a particular account, which maybe the pen tester then gets hold of, and then from there is able to move up, and then is able to do a lot of bad things, right? And okay, not bad things, is a pen tester, right? You get? Now we have now components of IAM. We have authentication, authorization, and user management. Now another thing I want to mention, still under identity and access management, right? Involves managing user identity and controlling their access to cloud resources to ensure that only authorized individuals can access specific resources, right? There are a lot of there have been cases of what exposed S3 buckets, right? S3 buckets are used to host data when it comes to AWS, right? So maybe somebody has somewhere where they are keeping their data, but then there's no authentication at all. That means anybody that can find the S3 bucket can have access to the information that is being kept there. So you have to make sure that your authentication and your authorization and your user management are in check. So verifying users' identity using password, multi-factor authentication, or biometric method, if possible. Then we have authorization, right, which has to do with defining and enforcing policies that determines users' permission and access level. Okay, so it's not just that, oh, we must make sure that everybody logs in. We must still make sure that, oh, even though you are logged in, you should only have access to the information that your level permits you. You should only have access to the information you are supposed to have access to, right? So I will still be picking on the intern. There are some information that the intern has no business with. So the intern account shouldn't be having access to those information. Same for the different departments that we have in the organization, right? So we still have different departments in the organization. That means, okay, for some departments, they might need to access some resources. Then there might be some other resources that they have no business with. So you have to make sure that you properly partition these things, you properly allocate these things. You get? Okay, user management. So managing user accounts, managing their roles. So this has a lot to do with the role of the user and their groups to streamline access control. Okay. Now, best practices when it comes to IAM. So you have to implement multi-factor authentication for all users' accounts. So even should in case their credential gets compromised, you know that, oh, there's another layer of security that prevents the bad guy from compromising the organization. Then use the principle of least privilege to restrict access. So least privilege, basically, okay, we limit your access to the barest minimum, right? Only what is required. Then regularly review and update IAM policy. So, okay, maybe after creating IAM policy, after doing some of this setting, right, it doesn't mean you are good to go. From time to time, you have to take a look at it again. Okay, is it working the way our organization wants it to? You get? So maybe when the organization is just starting, some rules were made, okay, and then as the organization keeps changing, so you also have to know, you also have to what, keep updating this rule, right? Because the organization is not staying the same. Then next we have data protection. So data protection in the cloud involves safeguarding data at rest, data in transit, and data in use. So we are protecting data in three states: when it is at rest, when it is in transit, and when it is in use, from unauthorized access, corruption, or loss. So, okay, so key techniques for this is what? Encryption, tokenization, and data masking. So encrypt data both at rest, that is stored data, and data in transit, that is data that is moving across the network, using strong encryption algorithm, right? Tokenization, replace sensitive data with non-sensitive equivalent tokens, right, to reduce risks. Okay, then data masking involves you concealing part of the data to protect it from unauthorized access. Okay, we have data protection best practices. So use end-to-end encryption for sensitive data, right? Ensure encryption keys are managed securely, right? And then you have to implement data loss prevention solution. Okay, so we have a few questions. Okay, Jane, I mean, what method of recovery a cloud provider can make use of in case their cloud has been compromised? Okay, it varies across organization, you get. So it varies across organization, you get. So a lot of time there's data replication, you get, there's failover, there's multiple power source, there's multiple internet connection, you get. So those are like some things that they put in place to make sure that they can recover from a particular disaster. Okay, and also there's also spreading of their resources, you get. So data centers are spread across different parts of the world. So if there's a problem with one data center, there's another in a particular location or region, there's another data center in another location, right, or region, that is going to work, you get. So there's multiple backup basically, multiple backup. Okay, Okoli Grace, sir, please, how will the IAM know I am an Intel? So the IAM is basically where they configure all of these things, you get. The IAM is basically where they do all these settings, you get. Is where they allocate, is where they create your account, is where they give the privilege to your account. So the security person, you get, the engineer is going to be the one to do all of this from the IAM, you get. Favor, we are just starting, you get. We are just starting, so we cannot demonstrate that yet, you get. All right, thank you very much, Praise. Beautiful contribution. I think that's where he said we can replicate the data in many places. So in case one place has um has a fault, the other place we would pick up from there. Yes, thank you, thank you. From where the other one stops. Thank you very much. Beautiful contribution. Thank you for helping me out, Praise. You just saved me from Jane. Thank you. Okay, so network security. Now, network security involves protecting cloud-based networks and communication from threats and unauthorized access. Network security involves protecting cloud-based network. Remember that we said it is possible to virtualize almost anything now on the cloud. That means the same network we have in the physical location on-prem, right? It is possible for us to replicate it in the cloud, right? So we have to make sure that we properly secure this network that is available in the cloud. So how do we do this? We do firewall, right? So we use virtual firewalls to bring incoming, to control incoming and outgoing network traffic based on security rules. Then there's something called intrusion detection and prevention system. So IDPS, right? It monitors network traffic for suspicious activities, right, and take action to prevent attacks. So the intrusion detection and prevention system is going to be seeing, okay, what is coming into the network, what is leaving the network, okay, is this behavior suspicious? Is this behavior normal? If the behavior is suspicious, right, then there's going to be an alerting detection, right? Maybe somebody is already in the environment and is trying to do something. This system is going to detect. Now, it's not just going to detect, there's also prevention, right? That means it's going to respond. You get, it's going to try as much as possible to limit the level of damage that can be perpetrated, right? So you need to make sure that your firewall is in place, your intrusion detection and prevention system is top notch, right? And there's virtual private network, right? So secure remote access to cloud resources, right? So this might involve you putting things in place, doing settings like maybe certain resources can only be accessed by what? By VPN, right? That means that those resources are not exposed to everybody. Those results are not exposed to anybody on the internet, you get. So if they can't reach it, then if they can't reach it, then the level of attack that will be getting to it will be what? Will be reduced, you get. So it's like you making sure that it's like you limiting the access to those resources. So most time what we advise is, oh, if there's no need for it to be available, to be exposed to the public rather, if there's no need for a resource to be exposed to the public, then please do not expose it. Yes, VPN is part of network security. So contrary to what most people think, VPN is not just all about streaming movie that is available in a particular region on Netflix. You get, so VPN is virtual private network. So it's like you having a network that can only be accessed, right? Let's put it this way for the sake of understanding, because we have a lot of newbies in the class. Is like you creating a network, right? A private network, and only certain people that have maybe a particular key, right? Maybe only certain people that are coming from a particular IP address, only people that are logged in to the VPN can now access these resources. You get. Okay, then best practices. Now you have to make sure that you properly segment network. So segment network to isolate sensitive data and application. So you don't just create a flat network. No, you segment your network. So you say, okay, this particular part of the network is here, part network A, there's network B, there's network C. You get. So when you segment it, even if the net maybe a segment of the network gets compromised, then you know that the damage is limited to that particular segment. Then regularly update firewall rules and policies. So like I said, the organization is changing, so things are going to be changing. So you have to make sure that you are also updating your firewall rules, you're also updating your policy as the organization is changing, so that things can work properly, right? And also there are also new attack vectors. So you have to make sure that your firewall rules and your policies can attend to these new attack vectors. Implement secure network protocol, right? So implementing secure network protocol, so using things like SSL and TLS, right? Next, we have compliance and governance. So compliance involves adhering to regulatory requirements and standards relevant to the industry, while governance ensures that security policies and procedures are enforced. So key components of compliance and governance, we have regulatory compliance. So ensuring that your cloud practice meets regulations such as what? GDPR, HIPAA, and PCI DSS. So security audits regularly conduct audits to assess compliance. So you have to, is my system compliant? Remember I said things are changing, so you have to regularly carry out audits to make sure that your system is compliant. So regularly conduct audits to assess compliance and identify areas for improvement. You need to identify areas for improvement. Then policies and procedures, establishing clear security policies and procedure for cloud usage. So you must establish clear security policies and procedures for cloud usage for your organization, right? So best practices, regularly update compliance documentation, conduct third-party audits to ensure compliance, right? So, okay, maybe sometime you might have to bring, maybe you have to bring in another entity, a third party, right? So, because it's easy for you to be biased because it is your environment, you get, and then implement continuous monitoring for compliance adherence. Now, security monitoring and incident response. So continuous monitoring involves tracking cloud environment for potential security threats, while incident response entails handling security breaches effectively, right? So key component of this, we have security information and event management, SIEM, right? Which collects and analyze security data to detect anomalies and threats. Then we have incident response plan, right? Develop and implement a plan to respond to security incident swiftly. So you need to put plans in place, right? So you see that, oh, this is looking taking us back to our the session we had on GRC, right? Then threat intelligence, right? So use threat intelligence to stay informed about the latest threats and vulnerability. So, okay, what is happening in this space? What should I be looking out for? What is the new vulnerability that just got released, that just got spoken about? How do I make sure I am properly secure? How do I make sure that, oh, there's no system, there's no technology in my environment that is vulnerable to this particular exploit, that is vulnerable to this particular exploit you get. So you need to do what we call threat intelligence. You need to stay at the top of your game. You need to know what is happening in your system and what is happening in the space, and not just know what is happening in the space, you need to know how it affects your environment, how you can use this information for the betterment of your environment. Okay, now best practices when it comes to security monitoring and incident response. Implement automated monitoring tools, right? Okay, so these tools will be these are automated tools, right? They will be running and then they'll be doing their job. So you need to put them in place. You need to conduct regular incident response drill. So it's not, remember we discussed that time that, oh, you don't just create incident response plan, you need to practice. So maybe you could just simulate, simulate this drill, right? Simulate incident response, so we know that, oh, when the particular day, when the particular event occurs, we know that we are going to respond as we should. We are going to respond with our okay, we are going to respond as we should. Okay, then keep the incident response plan updated and accessible. Very, very important. Next, we have application security. So application security involves securing cloud-based applications from vulnerabilities and threats throughout their life cycle. So key component of application security, we have what we call secure development. So you need to make sure that your organization is following secure coding practice and conduct regular code review. So you, okay, go through the code. Is there any um, loophole in the code? How can a bad guy take advantage of this? Then we have vulnerability management. So you need to work to identify and remediate applications vulnerability properly. Then we have web application firewall. So if you have a web app hosted through the cloud, so you need to make sure you have what web application firewall protecting this website. So protect application from common web threats such as SQL injection and cross-site scripting, right? So best practices when it comes to best practices when it comes to application security. So you need to use automated security tools, right? So we have SAST, that is static application security testing, DAST, dynamic application security testing. So we have tools that you can use for this. So you need to bring in these tools to and use for your application to make sure that your application is on the cloud is secure. Then integrate security into CI/CD pipeline. So you need to find a way to bring security into the CI/CD pipeline, right? Then application patches and update. I'm sorry, apply patches and update regularly, right? So if there's a new problem, make sure you fix it and then you update your application as soon as possible. Next, business continuity and disaster recovery. Okay, so business continuity and disaster recovery involves ensuring that critical cloud services remain available during and after a disruption. You need to make sure that your cloud service is available during and after a disruption. So how do we go about this? Key components, you need to have proper backup and recovery. So regularly back up data and ensure that it can be restored quickly. Regularly back up data and ensure that it can be restored quickly, right? Then failover mechanism, right? So you need to implement failover solutions to maintain service availability, right? So failover can be, okay, I'm already on AWS. Okay, let me have another one, a replica of this in my failover with Azure. So if AWS has problem, I can easily switch to the failover, which is Azure. Okay. Redundancy. So use redundant system and data centers to minimize the impact of failure. So redundant, this is very, very straightforward. This is very, very clear. So let me go through the comments. Okay. So, Jesu Gbemisola, how does a cloud provider experience downtime if they have multiple regions in place to back up data? Yes, so most time the downtime will be for a specific region. You get it will be for a specific region. So, what is VPN? I believe I've answered that. Yes, VPN is part of network security happiness. Okay, yes, okay. So patches, right? These are like security updates. These are like solutions to vulnerability. You get, so when there's a vulnerability on a particular software, right, they are going to write code that is going to fix that vulnerability, right? Now, for you to that code that is fixing the vulnerability is the patch, is what we refer to as patch. So when you are updating your when you're updating the version of that your application, then that means you're applying the patch you get. Then sometimes you might have to write the code manually. Okay. So thank you very much, Faith. Thank you. Yes, failover is like a backup technique to it. It's like a backup technique. Yes, hot topic. Okay, Miracle CID is CICD is continuous integration, continuous development. So it is a style that is used right now, right, in technology, right, for application development. So it's like you are continuously working on an application, right? You are continuously working on an application and then you are pushing it out for people to use. So work on a particular application is not limited, you get. So you need to make sure that as you are continually working on that application, right, you are also making sure that security is in place, you get. So as people are working on it, as they are, before they push out the update, we check, is this thing good? is it good to go? And then okay, the security people personnel say it is good to go, and then we release it. Or we don't just work on it and release it. We make sure that security is added to this process. Okay, so I believe I have attended to the questions I have in the comment section, so I should be able to proceed. All right, thank you. You're welcome, Kemi. Okay, so best practices when it comes to business continuity and disaster recovery. Okay, we have you need to test backup and recovery procedures regularly. So you need to test your backup and recovery procedures regularly. So it's not just the day the disaster is happening that you are knowing if your backup is going to work. You need to make sure that your backup will work. You need to make sure that your recovery plan, your recovery procedure will work. So you need to test it. You don't wait till the day for the disaster to happen before you know if it is working. You get implement geographically distributed data centers. So I believe we've touched this a little bit. So like I said, if you are working in Africa, your backup shouldn't be in Africa with you. You get, because something can happen to the whole of Africa. So you put it in Europe, or so you put it in America. You get, so you spread it across different geographical locations. You get, so that's just the yeah. Okay, then develop and maintain a comprehensive business continuity and disaster recovery plan. So you need to make sure that it is your business continuity and disaster recovery plan is well detailed. You get, remember when we're talking about things like this, right? Initially we said, okay, you need to say who is in charge of what. You get, you need to properly document the steps involved. Okay. Okay, then key cloud security principles, right? That is confidentiality, integrity, and availability. So I believe we've touched this, so we might have to just quickly move through this because time is not by our side today. It's like time is just flying today. Oh my God. So see, the CIA triad, confidentiality, integrity, and availability, is a fundamental concept in information security that ensures the protection of data and resources in any computing environment. So there's no way, including the cloud. So there's no way you will talk about information security. There's no way you will talk about cyber security without mentioning CIA. So the same way it also applies to the cloud. You need to make sure that there's confidentiality, there's integrity, and there's availability also in the cloud or on the cloud. So these principles are essential for maintaining the security, reliability, and trustworthiness of cloud services. Okay. So confidentiality ensures that sensitive information is accessible by authorized individual and entities, protecting it from unauthorized access and disclosure. So if I should ask, so where will we do something like this from, right? Where we will create setting for confidentiality, right? Proper user access control, you get. So then that's, you can easily just mention IAM, right? Right, protecting it from unauthorized access and disclosure. Okay, then key aspects, we have encryption, access control, data masking, and network security. So do we need to go through this? I believe everybody already have a good grasp of CIA triad. Okay, let's just do encryption. So you need to encrypt both data at rest and data in transit to prevent unauthorized access, right? So you need to use strong encryption algorithm and ensure key management, right? Then access control, implements robust identity and access management IAM policy to ensure that only authorized users have access to sensitive data, right, and resources. So use multi-factor authentication and role-based access control. Okay, then data masking marks or obfuscates data to hide sensitive information from unauthorized users while maintaining usability for those who need access. Then security, network security. So you need to use virtual private network, VPN, right? Firewalls and intrusion detection or prevention system, right? To secure communications and protect data from eavesdropping and interception. All right. So best practices when it comes to confidentiality. So regularly review and update access controls. You need to educate users about the importance of data confidentiality and security best practices. This is very important. You need to educate your the users of the cloud platform, right? So you are not the only person, you are not the only, I mean, just like we established in previous classes, right? You need to make sure that everybody in the organization is working together to make sure that the organization is secure, to make sure that the organization is following the best practices and best security best practices. Okay, then conduct regular security audits and vulnerability assessments. Okay, then we have integrity. So integrity ensures that data remains accurate, consistent, and trustworthy throughout its life cycle. So it prevents unauthorized modification, tampering, and destruction of data. So key aspect of integrity, we have hashing, right? So I believe Peace did justice to this, right? Use cryptographic hash functions to verify the integrity of data by comparing hash value before and after data transmission or storage. So you use hashing to make sure that data has not been altered while on transit, right? Digital signature. So implement digital signatures to authenticate the origin of data and ensure it has not been altered. Then version control. Use version control systems to track changes to data and maintain an audit trail of modification. Then data validation. Implement data validation checks to ensure data is accurate and consistent at the point of entry and during processing. So integrity best practices: regularly back up data and verify the integrity of backup. Implement checksums and hash comparison to detect data corruption. This is very important. So you can tell if data has been altered. So use tamper evidence technology to detect unauthorized changes to data. So availability, okay? So availability ensures that data and services are accessible to authorized users when needed. So availability ensures that data and services are accessible to authorized users when needed. It involves maintaining the uptime and performance of cloud services and resources, okay? Right? So key aspect of availability, we have redundancy. Implement redundancy for critical components such as your servers, storage, and network parts to eliminate single point of failure. Then we have load balancing. So use load balancers to distribute traffic evenly across multiple servers and ensure optimal performance and availability. Backup and recovery. So regularly back up data and develop a robust disaster recovery plan to restore services quickly in the event of a disruption. Then monitoring and alert. Implement continuous monitoring and alerting system to detect and respond to issues in real time, ensuring prompt resolution of any available concern. Okay. So when it comes to availability, what are the best practices, right? Conduct regular disaster recovery drill, very important, and test your backup. You need to test it. You don't want to find out if backup is working or not on the day of disaster. So you need to test backup and recovery procedures. Implement service level agreement with cloud providers to ensure agreed upon level of availability. So if you can, you need to get an SLA with with the cloud service provider, and then use auto scaling features to handle varying workload and maintenance performance you get. So you can do some auto scaling features on the cloud, so that if there's heavy traffic, then you can easily, or you can your system, your environment can automatically get more resource to handle such traffic. So you try, this will help you prevent your server from failing in the event of a lot of traffic on your platform. All right, so I think it's best for us to stop here for today and continue um, in our next class, because it's 1 minute to 10 my time already. All right, so let me quickly go through the comment section. Okay. Okay, explain more on static and dynamic security testing. Okay. Ah, okay, that's going to shift our focus for today. Okay, please, you know what, Lois, just do a little research on it, right? I don't want to go into that today because time is not on our side. So let's just focus on, okay. Please explain more on the failover. Okay, so failover is when a system is not working, you can easily unplug that system that is not unplug the cable from that system that is not working, and then plug it into the failover system. So failover system is basically a backup you get. If A is not working, then we know B is going to be our failover system. You get, Lois. So you quickly plug into the, okay. All right. All right. Thank you very much. Praise is just like having a backup database in another region. When your primary database has faults, it can fail over to the secondary database. All right. Thank you. Okay. All right. Okay, okay. So thank you very much for tonight, guys. I deeply appreciate your time and the effort so far. I deeply appreciate the effort so far. You guys are giving me joy. Yeah, so let's keep the energy coming, and hopefully by God's grace very soon we will make better progress, and enjoy cybersecurity together. Yeah. So thank you guys. Sincere apology, Lloyd. Somebody asked about failover. Who was that? No. Dynamic security testing. Okoli Grace, I'm so sorry. We can't touch that tonight. But trust me, just a little quick Google search will help. We help to resolve that. Oh, sorry, Baron. Yes, it's a lot of information. But then, I mean, if you should look at it, right, some of the concepts we've discussed for normal on-prem cybersecurity, they apply. You can see that they are also applying to the cloud. You get, so I believe you can actually comprehend most of the information, because I actually know I'm moving very fast today, but nobody's complaining. So I believe you guys are handling the information very well. All right. So thank you guys. Um okay, thank you, Lois. Thank you, Happiness. Thank you, Faith, Blessing, Nezzy. Thank you, Juliet. Thank you, Obi. Thank you, Tony. Thank you, Florence. Okay, thank you, Temitope. Thank you, Kemi. Thank you, Boluwatife. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Priscilla. Thank you all. I really appreciate. So let's keep the work. Let's keep up with the good work. Let's keep up with the good work. The interesting part is coming soon. Trust me, guys. We have a lot of interesting stuff to do together. So very soon we'll get to the interesting part. This part is a little bit boring. There's a lot of reading. All right. So thank you guys. Good night. Have a good night rest, and see you tomorrow. See you tomorrow.